There is one word that explains why no one cares, with few exceptions, about the millions of people suffering from the many wars and conflicts raging across the planet, with the exception of one war. There's no outcry, no concern, no tears shed, no protest, no outrage, no cause for ceasefire, no expression of heartbreak, no defiance, no resistance, no people quitting their jobs in protest, nothing except for utter indifference for the millions of people suffering from these wars and conflicts. There's massive indifference and disregard for the sufferings of millions of children and civilians that have been killed and still are being killed, wounded, and starving in multiple conflicts and wars. There's genocide in Darfur against the black Muslim population by Arab militias, in which women and girls are being raped and slaughtered, and civilians of all ages are being murdered and brutalized. There's the ongoing war in Yemen, in which countless children have already starved to death or are starving now. Millions of people have been killed, wounded, or permanently disabled. Many children and adults have lost limbs and other body parts. Millions have died in the vicious wars in the Congo region, in which millions of civilians have been raped and murdered. Untold numbers of people have been permanently disfigured and disabled from the wars and brutality. There are the vicious wars and conflicts raging across parts of Africa, Asia, and elsewhere by jihadi groups that have kidnapped, raped, mutilated, wounded, and murdered countless children and civilians. Civilians by the thousands and millions even have died in the recent or ongoing wars in Ethiopia, Myanmar, Syria, Ukraine, and in many other places. Countless people are suffering in the terrible gang violence that has overtaken Haiti, Ecuador, and other places. There is mass rape, slaughter, torture, and complete destruction of entire villages in Myanmar by the brutal Myanmar regime. The mass killings, torture, wounding, and disfigurements in Syria by the Assad regime, including by barrel bombs dropped on civilians, has been met with resounding worldwide silence. The jihadis in Syria and Iraq that kidnapped, raped, and murdered Yazidis, Christians, and others by the thousands, with thousands of Yazidi women and girls still held in captivity, is met with silence. The mass incarceration and persecution in China of its Uyghur Muslim minority receives not only silence, but open doors and invitations for China to invest in and do business with many Muslim countries, including Pakistan, Turkey, Qatar, Iran, and more. The plight of Muslim Rohingyas, persecuted in Myanmar, poorly treated in Bangladesh, where many rot away in miserable refugee camps, is met with silence. Thousands upon thousands of children have died in Somalia alone from the lack of food. Drought and climate change may have brought upon massive food insecurity, made much worse by war, terror, and violence that plague Somalia. The lives of millions of people in Somalia are at risk, yet there's no outcry, no voices raised, virtually no news coverage. Millions of people are dying from starvation and acute malnutrition in many countries, not only in Somalia and Yemen. Millions of people from Somalia, Sudan, Yemen, and many other countries suffering from war, drought, famine, religious extremism, terrorism, and more languish in miserable refugee camps. The plight of millions upon millions of people living in these places where there's great suffering falls on deaf ears. War, violence, and terror greatly worsens the damage caused by droughts, environmental degradation, and changing climates. Millions of people live in extreme poverty. A number of countries have collapsed economically, and there's widespread malnutrition in those countries, including the collapse of the economy in Cuba, Lebanon, and other countries. Countless children are forced into marriages with grown men in many countries in the world. Millions of people live under the threat of extreme violence or under brutal totalitarian regimes. The environment on which all life depends, on land and sea, is being greatly degraded and contaminated, threatening all of human existence. Nuclear weapons proliferation continues. Few to no one cares about these many terrible things. No one cares that in many of the terrible wars and crimes mentioned, it is Muslims that are suffering the most often at the hands of other Muslims. The reason no one cares when thousands, when even millions of people are raped, tortured, kidnapped, sold into slavery, murdered, starved, driven from their homes, and more, comes down to a single word: Jews. If Jews cannot be blamed, no one cares. Few to no one cares about the Palestinian Arabs in Gaza. They only care that there is Israel to blame, even though it was Hamas that started the war by raping, kidnapping, wounding, burning alive, beheading, and murdering thousands of defenseless people in Israel on October 7th, and that it is Hamas using the civilians of Gaza as their human shields to hide behind and beneath as they hide in their terror tunnels and leave the civilians above ground without protection. On October 7th, when Hamas and Islamic Jihad raped, kidnapped, mutilated, burned alive, beheaded, wounded, and murdered thousands of people inside of Israel, there was more than silence. There was celebration. In the many wars and conflicts raging across the planet, causing death, misery, and great suffering to millions, no one cares as long as Jews cannot be blamed. When Jews are the victims, there is blame, denial, deflection, silence, indifference, celebration, and approval. Jews get blamed when they are kidnapped, raped, and murdered, not the rapists, kidnappers, and murderers. In the weeks following the horrible massacres of October 7th, long before Israel entered into Gaza to take out Hamas, much of the world showed that the only thing that sparks outrage are posters of kidnapped Israeli babies, children, defenseless men and women. Millions of people took to the streets in support of Hamas, angrily tearing down posters that showed kidnapped Israelis, including posters of babies and children. If the Jew cannot be blamed, there is no outrage when millions are raped, murdered, sold into slavery, starved, disfigured, and wounded for life. If it is the Jew that is the victim of rape, kidnapping, mutilation, and murder, there is celebration. The people in Darfur, Syria, Yemen, Congo region, Haiti, Ukraine, Nigeria, Mali, Somalia, Myanmar, North Korea, Iran, and in countless other places have no champions. There are no protests on the streets. There are no voices raised. There's no concern for the victims of persecution, war, and terror unless the target of people's hate and animosity, most often the Jew, can be blamed. There is concern when the target of hate can be blamed, or when, under the guise of concern, there are religious, personal, financial, or political benefits. Going after the Jew and their small and only country has many benefits: fame, fortune, money, large audiences on social media sites. The mob helps keep Hamas alive and the civilians in Israel and Gaza in harm's way and suffering. Regarding all of the other miseries, wars, atrocities, rapes, persecutions, kidnappings, murders, wounding, and disfigurements, and more that are destroying the lives of millions of people all over the world, and in which the Jew cannot be blamed, it is business as usual. Business as usual is silence.